All right, Darren Smith back with you. It is hour number 2 on San Diego Sports Leader, the Mighty 1090. You heard it last night. It started at 8 o'clock. San Diego State wins the city championship 65-64. Came down to a last-second shot, which I'm sure must have felt like an eternity as that ball left the fingertips up in the air and then bounced off the rim. Let's say hello to Coach Fisher. We say hello to Brian Dutcher on a weekly basis. It's always a treat when we get a chance to say hello to Steve Fisher. He is the head coach at San Diego State. Coach, congratulations on the W.
Thank you, Darren. I appreciate it, and I don't mean to have you slumming having me instead of Dutcher, but here I am.
Are you kidding? On a day like today, following a game like that last night, we are thrilled to have you on board. What did it feel like when you watched that last-second shot?
From where I sat, Darren, I thought it was going to go in, and I'm always an optimist. Always, the glass is always half filled. He got a pretty decent look. He was a long ways out. He was beyond the three-point line, and he had a chance. But fortunately, it banged off the rim. They had a lot of them that went in. They were 8 for 14 for three-point range, and they made some that were contested, and fortunately that one didn't go.
You know, I kind of got a sense as I was watching it, there were a few times, at least as a viewer, that you're watching and you guys will go up 6. You guys might go up 7, you're up 9, you're up 10 at one point, and you say, okay, is this the point in the game where the Aztecs are going to knock them out? And for whatever reason, you couldn't do it. I don't know if that's more about you or if that's more about them, probably a little bit of both. But did you get a sense from the Aztecs bench here that you had them on the ropes a couple times and they just wouldn't go down?
We really did. I agree with you 100%. We made that run 6 minutes or so to go up 10, and I'm thinking, I even verbalized it. One more stop, and they came down and in 2 possessions had 5 points, and the 10-point lead was a 5-point lead. Their guard play was sensational. Johnny D is not just a catch-shoot player. He's a player. He's a scorer. He knows how to play, how to score, and he had 18 shots that he worked for, and then Chris Anderson had made 7 threes all season, 7 for 20 or 22 or 23, and he was 3 for 3 in this game, and one of them was a 4-point play. So they played well. They made shots. They made 3-point shots and they made free throws, which you tip your hat to them. And we did not do either very well. We were 4 for 12 from three-point range, and we were 19 for 30 from the free throw line, and that's not good enough. 30 free throws is what we've been getting, but we've got to make more than 19. And they're 14 for 17. So we made 5 more, but we shot 13 more.
We're talking to Steve Fisher, head coach at San Diego State. Aztecs won the city championship last night, 65-64. I got the sense, whether it was through Dutch earlier this week, or some other people around your department there, that you guys really were concerned about this game, or whether it was a little bit of the hangover, whether it's Washington coming up on Sunday at your place. But this fell into that trap game category. Now that you've actually played the game, were you concerned about it?
I'm not a guy that cries wolf at every moment to say, oh, they're too good, they're too this. The University of San Diego is a very good basketball team. And I know that going into New Mexico, they hadn't played anyone with a winning record. I understand all that. But they went into the pit, Darren, and they led 48-41 with about 6 minutes to go. Johnny D had a shot with a minute to go to tie the game. And that's an impossible place to go into to win. But even before that, you watched them play. And I said this to various people. This is the best team that Bill Greer has had since his first year when he came in and had that team that went to the NCAA tournament and upset Connecticut. So they were good. And no matter what, when we've played in their building, you go back and track the games in the Jenny Craig. We were 2-5 going into last night in Jenny Craig. And we won 7 in a row. So the ones that we had won over there were close. And I knew that this had the potential to be just what it was. So I think you tip your hat to them. Were we as good as we were at the Honda Center? No. But we played hard. We fought. Sometimes Chris Anderson, he's a guy that could run a marathon and come out 30 minutes later and run another marathon. He just is a water bug that never loses his energy, and that permeates to everybody on their team. He ran by us a couple of times. It wasn't that we weren't trying to get back. He's good.
Did you how much did you express that to your team? That, hey, listen, let's not overlook this now. We're coming off wooden legacy here. We're inside the top 25. Did you feel like you got the point across to the team during the week and during the lead up to the game?
We got it across. I thought that we had a couple of things that happened. J.J. O'Brien was 0 for 10 from the field. He had a pad on his hand. They didn't practice at all after the legacy because I wanted to make sure he was okay to play. He missed some little chippies inside there, and that he normally makes at least half of them. He's 0 for 10 from the field. That was a factor. Xavier Thames, there wasn't a shot he didn't make against Marquette and Creighton, had a tough time making baskets. He was 4 for 11 from the field, had some great looks, 1 for 3 from three-point range. So we had shots that we normally have been making that didn't go in, and that's a factor. We had the one thing that they talked about, we talked about, rebounding. We had 19 offensive rebounds to their 6. We set a goal this year to rebound 50% of our missed shots. We missed 17 shots. So, I'm sorry, we were 21 for 58, so we missed 37 shots. So we did that and just a little bit more. When you can rebound half of your misses, you got great chance to win, and it was a huge piece to the game.
We're talking to Steve Fisher, San Diego State head coach, and you could single out a couple of different players here, but when you talk about rebounding, it's a perfect segue to ask then about Josh Davis. At least from where I sat, Coach, he may have played his best game for San Diego State last night, and he was huge on the boards. I know the free throws down the stretch, whatever, but 15 rebounds for him, 5 on the offensive glass, as you just talked about. Best game that he's played so far?
I would say probably so. He played well against Marquette also. That's what Josh is. He's an energy player. He attacks the rim, both going for a rebound and with the ball, and he was productive with it last night. He pursued the ball, and he willed himself to find the ball. There are good rebounders that get balls that come in their area, and there are really good rebounders that go pursue the ball and get it outside of their area. And that's what Josh is. He's a very good offensive rebounder, a very good rebounder, because he doesn't just get balls that come to him. He gets balls away from his area. And if you get 15 rebounds in a game, you're doing something. And that's what he did last night. He was huge for us.
Now, it was brought up before the game, and it was pointed out, and obviously for good reason here, that he had played USD a couple times and had success against them. Does that have anything to do with his performance last night?
I don't know, to be honest. I know that was a bit of a storyline with Mark Ziegler in the paper about that fact. He played well against them last year, and we played USD right after Tulane did. So I watched that game, and I commented at the time, and I said this when Josh came here. I said to Dutch, who is that guy doing all that work for Tulane? And he turns out to be now doing the same work for San Diego State. Josh is a very good player that needs to make sure that he doesn't overthink situations and not worry about what happened on the last play and just go ahead and play. And when he does that, he gets production like he did last night.
I brought this up yesterday on the show, and I don't mean to take anything away from the victory last night. And certainly I don't mean to disrespect USD, who was your opponent last night. But, and just being around college basketball as much as I have been, where you guys are now as a program, and you're in the top 25, you're a candidate to go to the NCAA tournament every single season, and stop me if I'm saying anything that you disagree with here. Playing in that building, you wouldn't see a lot of teams that would call themselves a program with a capital P play that game. And you've had success there. They're always close games. I know the city really gets involved going back and forth here from their place to your place. But, UCLA doesn't play that game. Syracuse doesn't play that game. And we talked about it yesterday on the show, and Ziegler said, well, bring it up with Coach Fisher next time you talk to him. So I'll ask you here, what do you gain by playing that game in their building last night?
Well, we gained experience playing in a hostile atmosphere. It was our first true road game, even though we had a lot of Aztec fans there. and you play a good team in a close game. The best thing that could happen would be for USD to continue what they're doing right now, winning. And then their RPI goes up, and it's a win-win. It's good for both teams. Even people that are involved in selection committee and rankings don't understand fully what it means to play somebody down the street that can't wait to play you, feel as if they're second page news when they deserve front page above the fold also. It's hard. It's hard. So I think that's why a lot of people don't do it. It's a no-win situation.
Right.
If you win, well, you're supposed to win. If you don't win, it impacts in so many different ways. So I'm a fan of Bill Greer and what he's done at everywhere he's been. He's a very good basketball coach. I really like his team this year. So I hope he keeps it going. And, we've now won 8 in a row. When I first got here, they drubbed us for 3. They beat us 3 straight years. And they beat us pretty badly at their place. That's a hard game to play, especially a hard game to play on the road. And you're right. Most programs say, well, come here, we won't go back. We'll pay you to come here, or let's find a neutral place where we can play. But we've played them. My 15 years, we played them home and home for 15 years.
And you're okay with it?
Well, we've got one more year on the contract, so I'm okay with it through next year at least. So we'll see what happens.
Well, good. I'm glad because, I brought it up. People thought I was slighting USD, and I said, no, you don't understand. I mean, Calhoun wouldn't do this. He wouldn't go and play in any of the local gyms there in Connecticut. Boeheim would never do this. You know that. I mean, UCLA hasn't done this in 20 years. They don't go play at Davis or at Pepperdine. So, it stands out that you are where you guys are and yet you still play this game, and I think something should be said about it. So,
well, and I know you're not trying to demean USD at all, and I don't want any fans, be it San Diego State, to pump their chest out or USD to be offended. You're stating the fact that we've been good, and we've been very good lately, and we've got what we would describe, and everyone would, a program that if people expect to be good. So with that brings decisions that you have to make on scheduling. We are mandated this year to play 2 more conference games. They talked about playing 4 more. That also impacts what you can do with your non-conference schedule. So a lot of variables and factors enter in, and you touched on a couple. So we'll see what happens down the road. But I know last night's game was exciting for everybody that was there and for those that watched. And we feel very fortunate to have come out with a 1-point victory.
Hey, Coach, I know you got a boogie here, so last question I'll ask you. You are 6-1. You have Washington coming in this weekend, a home game for you guys at Viejas. But you're 6-1, and the only loss on the schedule up until this point has been against a team which is expected to be ranked number 1 in the country. Any surprise for you whatsoever to find yourselves with this record at this stage?
Darren, I knew that we would have a chance in the games that we have played at our building, and then I knew we'd have a chance at USD. Going up to the Wooden Legacy, I looked at the competition, and I said, this is going to be hard. All 3 of these games are going to be difficult. So I was very pleased that we came away from there with 3 victories. I'm not going to say I'm surprised, but I was pleased with the way we played. We earned those wins. So you grind away, and you don't get too full of yourself and too caught up. We've got a big game on Sunday against a Pac-12 team, a Lorenzo Romar team filled with guys like we have. Long, athletic, up and down the floor, play really hard. So this is a good team that we're playing. They're trying to find themselves also with a combination and different things, but they're a good team and they're very athletic, and we must be ready to play, and we need it's a 12:00 Sunday start, so we need our fans there to treat it like it's the most important game of the season because it's the one on Sunday.
Well, Coach, congratulations on the victory last night, the terrific start to the season. It's a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you very much for the time.
Thank you, Darren. I appreciate it.